Up to the form part now, Jace, of the Tongue Tie Off podcast, and we are hoping to strike big this week because we are getting close to, I believe, having a goldmine of a meeting. We just need a couple of things to fall our way.
It's a hard thing to say, isn't it? That we've been very close without nailing it, but we do want to give the punters something, and I've offered a couple of Twitterati that I'll get them a steak dinner if I don't profit with the game plan this week.
Can I just say, the thing about putting out a game plan though, right? Yes, it is hard. It is hard to, what do they say? Tipping is a mug's game when you're tipping in public, and it's been your life for many, many years, Jason, and mine for a few years less. But it is hard to tip a profit consistently. And, you see how often do you see people get around that by, I think we commented on last week, saying half the field's got a chance, each way claims, can win, all this, and it actually does nothing for the punter.
But what I want punters to do sometimes, I will guarantee, promise, oath of vow, I'll win on the game plan this week. But what I've always said, I think I'm a pretty close to elite judge. I don't make a living off the punt. I'm not as good a punter as I am a judge. So sometimes this is why we're putting out full guides and spiels and all the rest of it and ideas. I think it's worthwhile if you've got a reasonable idea about the game and you're a trotting fan, take the thoughts sometimes and do something slightly different with it if you believe that's the way to go. Or if you agree with my map or your map or you don't, then just tweak it to your own style. Because I don't make $300,000 a year off the punt. I'm a good punter, but I'm not elite. But we're trying to give people education and a guide. Yeah,
it's part of the puzzle. Like everything, it's part of the puzzle. And
I've always said that I used to. My late brother, I would explain a race to him. He wouldn't do the form. He would win, I would lose, or he would win more.
Yeah,
because he just took the key parts, the critical issues. Yeah.
But again, so you are putting it out there and we're both putting up a game plan of sorts, but you are putting it out there. And yes, that doesn't mean we may always profit, lose. Some days it's a wipeout. Some nights it's a wipeout. Okay. But it's better that, in my mind, I've always believed it's better that than not having an opinion. And if you're tipping and you're a form analyst and you're not willing to actually pin your flag to something, there's really no point. So,
and the hardest bit, by the way, we've spoken about prices. Quaddies, money races.
Yep.
That's fine. If we're tipping one, straight out the win and it's $2.40, then it starts at $1.40.
Yep.
We can't do much about that.
Well, we are taking the $2.40 as long as we've put it out in time. And that's just heads up, we're going to do it because it's the only fair way to judge us, surely. If we find it's $2.40 and we call it at that, that's surely good enough. Yeah. In
a separate section, we'll get stuck into race one in a separate section. I used to host a little show called Burning Questions. You came up with the idea. I came up with the name. Unfortunately, in the divorce settlement, they've kept Tok doing a great job with it now.
He is.
We've just had a little bit of fun with that one. But race one is critical here, and I'd like to get your thoughts. I'm not saying I don't want to give your friendships away. I think you know who Jackie Barker is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yep.
We'll talk about this a little bit later because Curly James
got a small share in a horse with Jackie, who we brought from New Zealand with high hopes, and unfortunately she didn't run when she got here. So, Jace, we've entered the breeding world. We're going to have a little foal. So we'll see.
She never started.
No, had two trials and couldn't get it right. 2 starts in New Zealand for a win and a third, I think it was. But just didn't bring that form over here.
You must have paid a bit. Oh, geez. I don't want to.
Very small share.
Let's not mention the war,
it's very small share. Got a couple of other people, including the great Timmy Hallett in this one. J-Bon.
What a legend. So here, race one.
Yep, let's do it.
There's been early cash because there is a market available for this one.
Yes.
And the James, who is Curly, has been backed. Not heavily. I think like 3 into 270 or something like that. But if you look at the opening price on tab, sometimes it might just say 270. It doesn't sometimes say what the opening price was. So that is an indication that most people believe he will assume a bloodless lamplighting role that he will lead. It is not a fast front line. But I did want to pose to you, we'll pose it later in broader terms, but So What is the only potential fly in the ointment for mine. Tango Tara is the only other one off the front row.
Apart from the one you said the data said would lead.
Well, and to be honest, Scotty Ewan might have a look at it and go, but I don't think so.
J-Bond said 1%, so bugger it. Handlebars down.
They've won at 100 to 1 before. So your thoughts, is Curly James the definite leader for a start in race 1?
Yeah, my map is Curly James to lead with He's a Son of a Gun stalking and MacDan possibly finding the breeze really, really easily. So What initially in the breeze and then pretty happy to take the 1-1.
Do you ever find the breeze easily drawn the second row over 1,720 metres though?
Oh, well, it's a great question and not often, but honestly, this is so sedate early that it could well be the case.
Do you know what might be the key here? Is whether So What does run the gate, because MacDan draws behind So What, and all of a sudden you're a lot closer to have to whip around.
Well, either way, it's going forward. You would assume so. There's a nice run through regardless. But yeah, if the button's pushed, even better. So What was $51 into 26, which doesn't necessarily mean a huge amount of money, but there's a market move in the early market.
Well, that's a great example of the data. In its last 20 starts, So What has not led once.
Yeah, and I don't think it's heading off Curly James.
No, but I'm just saying it is. It's more of a chance of much more of a chance of doing so than the runner who's led in 7 of his last 20 starts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Curly James leads. Okay. So very, very quickly before you go on, I just want to mention, I'm not saying I made a dick of myself. I didn't, because we didn't know. But there were all these stats around La Captain. And then we get a little scratching. Yeah. It doesn't make sense anymore. So, but I'll tell you what, would you agree with me that if Jillaby Jack Sparrow got a run, he wouldn't be quite as good a chance as He's a Son of a Gun, but you could half transplant the way you're playing and just
100%. Yeah. Well, if Jillaby, so I haven't done the form of Jillaby Jack Sparrow. I don't do the.
I never do the emergencies, right? And sometimes kills you. Yeah.
Well, of course. And some would argue then don't draw the emergency in the barriers and just. But I don't know how you do that.
Dan Malachy might say that. Yes.
Well, so the issue here is I'm suggesting play trifectas, but if there's a scratching, then my trifectas can just be thrown out the window. I mean, I could probably replace them and all, but I'm not going to. If there's a scratching, just chuck my tries out the window.
Okay.
Because
I'd be nearly happy to slightly restructure them with 1, 8, and 9, because I think Jillaby Jack Sparrow's good enough from behind the leader.
Yeah, true.
It will probably fill.
Well, okay. I agree with you 100%. My point is I've done it a certain way, and I just, bit like we saw last week, that just threw me. It totally threw my playing of that race, and that's what happens when you don't factor the emergency in.
So you're opting for a money race in the first. It sounds like, Coach. I have done a psychology degree. I've looked into your mind, your prefrontal cortex. It's a money race for you.
Yeah, it is. Curly James, easy leader. The danger is going to be right there on its back. He's a Son of a Gun. Definitely a threat to the leader. MacDan's got the class, and if it gets to the breeze easy enough, is a chance. They're the three key winning hopes. I think Helliver is the one that can add value to trifectas by just lobbing that 3 poles position and potentially running a place. But I want to play Curly James for the win. I think $2.70 is still a pretty good price. And then I want to play some tries, Jace. 1 to win from 9-11, 9-10-11. 1 to win from 9-11, 3, 4, and 6. So I do want to put So What, 8, 8, and Tango Tara in for third in a saver. And then a third trifecta with 9 and 11 to win. Curly James has to run second and 9, 10, 11 for third.
Hope everyone had their pen and pad ready. And if not, rewind the podcast and you will get all of those numbers after 5.
Or check out pacesetters.au. We'll make it easy for you.
So money race for me as well.
Yep.
the old mate Yams, who's still texting, is he believes that Curly James will start in the Rosella, in the tomato sauce, in the red.
Have you got some stats for us, Jace, that we should throw up on the screen?
I reckon I've got a map and a stat. We'll
Right.
go. We'll
Let's
go
have a
with the
look.
map. We'll go with the map first. I am not. It's weird because everyone seems to be totally committed to this Curly James leading. I think he will. Would I bet my life on it? Not quite, but if he does, you've got to pick your poison, don't you? Either he does or he doesn't, and you've got to bet that way. This is why maps are so important. So yes, got him in front, and here's a couple of stats that might float your boat. These are better than the sectionals. Don't worry about that. These mean more. I promise you. I guarantee.
Oh,
It's
look at
Bond's
those.
word. So Curly James.
Look at that.
He's got a
9
good record.
starts, 7
Yeah.
wins, 2 placings. Look at that. 77.78% that is for the mathematicians, Jace, when leading for Curly James.
And he
I
hasn't
like
had the yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I like how you throw the other part in there too. He's the son of a gun. From behind the leader in 3 polls, 12 starts, 4 wins, 7 placings, 92% top 3 record, if you don't mind. Cody's money race looking.
What's the addendum there? And the only time
right.
the only time he's ever missed a place behind the leader or 3 polls, he's a son of a gun.
Yep.
He got dragged back. Catch a Wave won the 2-year-old Breeders' Crown final.
Yep.
So
Good little addendum. Good little NB.
in the parentheses. That's
Not,
a nice
is that
word for
nota,
brackets, kids.
nota bene?
So you know what? If I only had one, if I had a gun, again, I don't know why I raise guns so often. If I had a gun put to my scon, my occipital lobe, and they said you could only have one bet in this race, you know what it would be? If Jillaby Jack Sparrow doesn't get a run.
Yep. He's the son of a gun for the place.
$100, $1.65.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I understand a lot of punters don't like the idea of that. You only win $65. I tell you what, you can buy 3 oranges, a lemon, an orange juice, and a box of Just Right these days.
Well, they always say you don't go
$65.
You don't go broke backing placing.
Not sure that is the adage, the aphorism, the idiom, but that would be my one bet. But if I was, I don't mind the money races either. So this is the way I'd go: 1 and 9. Again, avoiding the emergency of getting a run. 1 and 9 to beat 1 and 9, to beat 4, 5, 6, 10 for the most.
Yeah.
So $20, 250%. 1 and 9 to beat 4, 5, 6, and 10 to beat 1 and 9. $16, 200%. And then this is a tricky little one. So I often just play the top chances to run first and second or first and third. But here, throw them in to run second and third as well for a small amount. So 4, 5, 6, and 10 to beat 1 and 9, 1 and 9. And basically, all you're relying, you can put whatever numbers you want in for the other rolls. All you're relying on is 1 and 9 to both hit the podium, the dais, and if the map works out, I'll be shocked, stunned, flabbergasted, staggered.
But aren't you also relying on Muck Dan to completely miss a place under all those scenarios you just mentioned?
Did I say
being given his legs 11?
1 and 9 to beat 1 and 9. Beat 4, 5, 6 and 11. No, I'll be right.
Well, because you would have Helliver in too, wouldn't you, for third on the pegs?
No, maybe I didn't. No, 4, 5, 6 and 11.
Well, you're going to get J Bond's full game plan on pacesetters.au because I like where you're going with this, Jace, but we just, I suspect you do want to include Muck Dan.
I don't think, and I love Clayton and Emma. How are you? Got to catch up soon. It's not the only runner that I will be questioning the winning chance. Muck Dan can win the race, but in these sort of races, free-for-all races, how often do they win outside second row over 1720? You have to be, going back to our distance covered, I reckon you've got to be 25 metres better.
Yeah,
now,
well, that's a big
he at his
call.
best? Maybe he is. Maybe he's 15 metres better. But he's first up.
I don't think he is, though. I think, and this is where Curly James is. I rate Curly James as a racehorse. There's no way you could say Muck Dan's 25 or 15 or whatever it is better than Curly James.
Before we go into race 2, we'll have a little head-to-head.
Right.
You can have Curly.
Yep.
I'll have Hazer.
For the win.
Yeah, because if
okay,
in your scenario, Muck Dan gets around to the breeze.
Yep.
Quickly. What's he going to do once he gets there? He's going to sit up and order himself a strawberry thick shake and just go around for the first up run. It's not really Emery Clayton style, is it?
Well, no, but it's first up.
Throw in a 28. Throw in a. It probably will be a slow first quarter.
Yeah.
But if MacDan gets around there, it might be a 28, 29, 27.
Yeah.
And he's a son of a gun's best runs have been at the mile. So little head to head. I love the tipping. I love the tipping. You go, to win.
No, I'm tipping I'm tipping it'll be an electric 800-metre sprint home, and I think Curly James will be too good. But I absolutely appreciate what you're saying, and you're right. If there's a bit of pepper there, as I've said, he's a son of a gun. He's absolutely right there, ready to strike the early money. Not for he's a son of a gun, and certainly not for MacDan. 350 out to 460.
It's always nice to be appreciated.